Hello and welcome to the Day Zero update for May 17th, 2015. I'm Filippo Genolfo.
I'm Patrick Mifflin.
I'm Brandon Perkins.
And I'm Theresa Sammons.
And Lee is on assignment, we'll say.
We forgot to mention the show blog last week for our iTunes premiere, and so I just wanted to bring that up at the top of the show. It's something that I've been running basically since the Smashpad Live iteration of the show, and it's sp-patrick.tumblr.com, and so check that out. I'll be posting random little news bits and just random little news bits and show updates to that blog. So check that out, and I just wanted to get that out there.
Cool. As for the current iteration of the show, it looks like we're going to make some short-term changes, which will hopefully lead to a better show for all of you guys.
Yeah, basically, we've been getting some feedback and both positive and negative criticism. Right now, we're not really looking to sweeping changes to. We're not looking to any real sweeping changes to the format of the show, but we are going to kind of go about it with some of the criticisms that we've heard in mind. Meanwhile, anything that we excise from the show entirely will end up on a new podcast that we'll be launching here pretty soon called Let's Weekend. And that'll be on Friday nights once we get started with it. And that will have much more of a casual tone to it. Not to say we're going to suddenly get all
highfalutin.
Yeah. I guess stiff or no sense of humor on the Day Zero update, but we are going to try to make it more and more about the news and implications of the news than some of the other. Meanwhile, all of the other will end up on Let's Weekend.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to doing that show.
Cool. And we got
sobriety is optional.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And one last thing while we're talking about our short-term plans for the podcast. E3. We finally got the press conference schedule locked down, and so we're starting to pencil in our own plans for the event. The June 14th episode of the Day Zero update will be kind of an E3 pre-show, and that should be a lot of fun in its own right. That will just be brought to you by the team we got here, plus Lee, hopefully. Yeah. And that will just kind of get our E3 festivities started. After that, we're aiming to have 2 shows on Monday, one at 2 p.m. Eastern. Well, that's when we'll be recording it and hopefully live streaming it from...
yeah, we'll probably do a Google Hangout.
Yeah.
So you guys can watch along as we're doing that.
And that will be once again, 2 p.m. Eastern that Monday. We'll be talking about the Bethesda and Microsoft conferences. And then later that night at 11 p.m. Eastern, we'll be going into the EA, Ubisoft, and Sony shows.
Yeah.
Tuesday will be another two podcast day. 3 p.m. Eastern, we'll be talking about the Nintendo Square-Enix conferences, as well as anything noteworthy that comes out of Microsoft's Monday night event. That apparently they're going to be doing nightly events on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So if there's anything noteworthy that comes out of that, we'll be including that in that discussion. Yeah. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, we'll be doing a recap of the PC gaming show that they've got planned, this whole collaboration between AMD and PC Gamer. Yep. As well as an overall recap of day one of E3.
Yeah.
day 2 and day 3, Wednesday and Thursday, will be live at 7 p.m. Eastern. That will just be us kind of recapping anything new and noteworthy that came out of the show, on those days. And obviously the Thursday night show is going to be an overall E3 wrap up, followed by sort of the after party that will be Let's Weekend that week.
Yeah.
We don't know when we'll be going live with that, but that'll just be whatever group of hosts end up doing Let's Weekend. We'll be going and doing the E3 wrap up, a much more relaxed version of it.
Yeah.
On that Thursday night.
Yeah. And you'll get to see us get progressively less and less cogent as the show goes on, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
It is E3, and it's one of those signals that you've arrived as a gaming website when E3 starts to become equal parts exciting and daunting.
Yeah.
Instead of just going into it like, hell yes, I'm stoked for this. Let's kick some ass. And the more ambitious you get as a website, coffee starts looking better and better. And
Yes, it does.
it's definitely going to be it's going to be a test for us, but it's one that I'm personally looking forward to. And yeah, hopefully, we'll be in a good position to give some new audiences some coverage that we, just in the new exposure that we've been getting in recent weeks from iTunes, now TuneIn Radio, and a couple of other aggregators. And hopefully with, between our shows leading up to that and these 8 shows that we'll be churning out during E3 week, we'll be keeping a lot of people around.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get
Who
that.
knows? Who knows? One of these days we might end up being able to podcast live from E3.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome, but
We don't
completely
know exactly
impossible.
what's going on with that. It's entirely possible that on the nightly shows, I think is it Dan Rib and Alex or Dan Rib and Chris?
Dan Rib and Alex, because they're both California-based.
Yeah, they're they put in their applications to go to E3, and I don't know. I haven't heard if they've heard back yet, but it's entirely possible that we'll be getting some direct podcast correspondence from them live from E3. So there's that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, Theresa, you had something that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I want to share a little story with you guys because I feel like this is something that I can talk with you guys about and our audience. And you may understand more so than, the people that I see day to day. Probably about 8 or 9 years ago, Pat talked me into playing Final Fantasy XI. And he had no idea what he was starting.
Well, no, I kind of did.
Oh, thanks. That was 7 years of my life, man. And it was great. So, he had asked me for a couple of months, and I was like, all right, I'll try it out. So I tried it out, and well, as you heard, I ended up playing off and on, but I guess mostly on for 7 years, maybe more. And many of us have probably had that MMO experience where everything else in the world just evaporates and you become a complete addict. You're no longer a gamer, you're just an MMO addict. And that's what happened. But I started out and, like everybody else, I was trying to figure out why these damn wild rabbits were killing me. And I didn't know what I was doing. And, I got up to about level 5 or 6 and I got into a little trouble in game. And this Paladin came by. And he was level 75, which was the max level back then. And his armor, I remember he was one of the first high-level characters that I had seen. because they weren't hanging out where I was hanging out. And he looked like a knight in shining armor. I mean, it was incredible. It was a great Paladin look. He was pulling it off. It was a very striking effect. And he
Was it
helped
all
me out.
artifact?
No, it actually looked okay. All right,
No, I mean,
it was his artifact gear. It wasn't
Okay, that's
artifact.
what
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was his artifact gear. I don't know which level it was, but he was like if it was AF 1, 2, or 3. I don't know. I never played Paladin actually. Oh, that's an interesting point. Out of all the jobs that I leveled, I never leveled Paladin past 17. Interesting. So, he helped me out, and I was really grateful. And we put each other on our friends list, and I'd log in, and he'd be there, and he'd help me out. He was power leveling me sometimes, and he helped me find the crystal for teleport Hala. So that was fun. And I was trying to get to Juno, and I kept dying in Juggner Forest. I just couldn't do it. So I sent him
that part.
Oh my God, that first run to Juno was so stressful. It's worse than having a job interview. I mean, really.
It reminds me of that Pirates of the Caribbean meme.
Yeah.
Where he's just running like hell.
Yeah.
Everything.
It was pretty much that. It was pretty much that. So he helped me get to Juno, and we would go and farm crystals off the elementals in Lithene Plateau whenever it was rainy weather. And he helped me get into crafting, and I was doing cloth crafting. He was doing food. He was cooking. So he would always have special goodies for my character. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen the guild, and we all understand how our online friends really do become a part of our life.
Yeah.
It's
that's this podcast.
Yeah, it is. It is. This is absolutely an outgrowth of that. And as we've done before too. I don't know if you guys have heard this since we do most of our chatting, not during the podcast. He and I started talking about our personal lives. We talked about our families and all of our troubles and the good things. And I was complaining to him about my new boss was being unreasonable at that time. And, he was older than me. And not only did he become my Vanadiel senpai, he was also like a real life senpai. He talked about his experiences in the military, and he needed to move from Texas, and things were bad, and he was sad, and he did move, and it got better, and I was happy with him, and I was glad for that experience. And he talked to me about his twin brother who had passed away, and I mean, you could just, even though it was just in tells, it was just words on the screen, you could feel how deeply wounded he was from the loss of his twin brother. And, I felt bad with him. And it was before Facebook when all this happened. And he sent me a Christmas card, and, he had a poem about his brother. And then, time went on. I got pregnant, and I was able to share, the great news that I was having a kid, and, he was telling me about his kids and stuff. And those last few weeks of pregnancy were torture. And all I could do was get up, eat, play Final Fantasy, fall asleep. And he was there. He was there with me online through the last few weeks. And then, obviously I had my kid, and I didn't get to play quite as much. And things got a little stale in Final Fantasy II back in those years. And he moved on to another MMO. But by then we had Facebook, so we were still keeping in touch. And I got to see, his jokes every day. Man, he cracked me up. And, he talked about some of his health issues that he had that stemmed, I think, from his time in the war. And I tried to give him some encouragement and comfort online. He really didn't complain, though. He was always really happy. And, Friday morning, I go on Facebook, and, I see him talking about the weather. And like the month before, my husband and I talked about taking a road trip. We got a couple of friends that live out that way. And I thought, it'd be great to go see him, shoot the breeze in person. And, we never got past just talking about it. And then Friday night, I logged on, and he had died very unexpectedly, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't have thought that it was unexpected. I knew he had health problems, but I really can't talk to other people in real life. Real life, what is that? About this, because I don't think that they understand how someone can grieve for somebody that they only knew online. And I miss him. I miss Casey. I miss his old Paladin that he was always so embarrassed about pulling out his Paladin. I think that was his first character. And he'd rather play as mages and Mithras, and he liked Taru's the best. But his Paladin in that shining armor, always there helping people out. It was like a reflection of who he really was in real life, even though I never met him face to face. And he cast rays on me so many times in the game. I wish I could do the same for him in real life, but we can't. And I just don't think that many people would understand, how deeply you can miss someone that was just an online person. So that's my story about Casey, and I miss him, and I feel for everybody else who's lost their online friends.
Yeah.
I
think people become more and more understanding of that as we get deeper and deeper into the internet age, and more of us are living that life where we're interacting with people just as much digitally as we do in person, if not more so in some cases.
Yeah.
And so
This is kind of very reminiscent of how sort of the internet reacted when Robin Williams died. Because, people understand, of course, for my generation, of course, Robin Williams, he was Jeannie from Aladdin, and he was Mrs. Doubtfire and all these characters, and obviously he had entertained generations of people as a comedian and an actor. But what people don't understand is that the reason the internet reacted so deeply to his death is because he was literally one of us. I mean, all the things that we were into, he was into.
Yeah.
He was a longtime video game person. He was a Dungeons and Dragons player. He loved anime. He loved comic books. He was
real.
Yeah. It just goes to show that relationships blossom and become strong regardless of the medium that facilitates them. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like online is less of a valid way to meet and get to know a person than Meet Space would be. In some ways, it's actually a bit stronger, because with the abstraction of the screen, you tend to maybe put out a little more than you normally would if you were sitting face to face with somebody.
Tend to be a lot more genuine.
Yeah.
I'm glad you shared that, Theresa.
Thank you. It helps to talk about it with people that I think would understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
You never do.
No.
So I guess we'll move on to the next section of the show, which is what we're playing. Pat.
Yeah. It's going to be a quicker version of it this week, I think, for a lot of reasons, really. Me personally, I've kind of dove into a bit of a Final Fantasy overdose. Record Keeper, Dimensions, 10 HD I picked up. Just really reminding myself why I used to really love the series. It's slipped a bit in recent years, but once we get over the Final Fantasy 15 hump, I think there's a real return to form coming, by all indications. And so I've been kind of diving headfirst into that and, almost rediscovering the series, to be honest. In addition to that, directly because of Lee and Brandon, I must add, I've been playing Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, and you've been liking that.
It's pretty much exactly what I expected it to be. It's not my kind of game, but it's definitely my kind of tone. The gameplay doesn't really hook me, but I wasn't expecting it to either. I can enjoy it. I can sit down and, it's one of those games I can relax to and not take too seriously. But there have been times where I'd get into a car, park it somewhere, and just listen to the radio for an hour or two. And it really is like that. Yeah. And we've already gone into some of the radio talk shows on the podcast, and so I won't regurgitate that, but it's been it's been very entertaining. And Laszlo's life sucks. Just had to.
Yeah, in game. In real life, he's basically an international celebrity now because of this game.
Yeah.
I think he has a couple of Tumblr feeds out there.
Oh, just a couple?
Yeah, just a couple.
But the main thing to talk about would be Project Cars, which I finally got a hold of a copy of after. I was after the PS4 version, but my Walmart only got an allocation of 3 Xbox One copies. I'm not sure what's up with that. And meanwhile, it turned out that the Best Buy down the street only got PS4 copies. So I guess somebody at Namco is trolling.
Yeah. So
I don't know what's going on there. But I've put a little bit of time into that. Right now, I can definitely put it further down the simulation scale than Gran Turismo and Forza, but at the same time, I don't know if it's just the career mode or if it's something that gets into all corners of the game. Part of the appeal of Gran Turismo and Forza for me has been kind of just tuning up cars that I might actually be able to own someday and going out and kind of tooling around on racetracks with them like I would, not as a professional race driver, but just as somebody who owns the car and has the access to the tracks to use them. Project Cars isn't about that. Project Cars dumps you directly into the professional setting. You've got your you got your crew talking into your ear the entire time. You've got your mandatory pit stops. You've got regulations, things like that. You can even red light, actually. And so, it's definitely really good for its target audience, but I'm just not sure that I'm it. I don't know. I was hoping for something that was a little closer to Forza and Gran Turismo, in terms of its execution, and it really is more along the lines of a Formula One, just with production cars.
Yeah. No, that's
so
kind of a shame because that crosses it off my list right there.
Yeah, I have to play it more to, like, I would not even think about reviewing it on what I've played right now.
Yeah.
What I will do is I started the career mode, and that's what I've gotten out of it so far.
Okay.
I'm going to tool around on some of the other modes and, see what's out there. But right now, it feels too stuffy for me.
Okay.
So, how about you?
Nothing new or notable here. It's been playing pretty much the same stuff I've been playing the past few weeks.
No standbys?
Yeah, DG2, Mortal Kombat 10, Axiom Verge. We've talked ad nauseum about all those, so won't spend any time on those. So we'll just move straight to Brandon.
Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. Nothing much to add there. It looked great. Only it looks even better on an HD television.
Yep.
Yeah, one of my favorite games of 2014, 2013. It was also playing The Evil Within. I don't have much on that because I just started it. It's quite good. Extremely nerve-wracking. Nice survival horror. My only big problem being that the voice actor for the character you play is so extremely wooden.
Ugh.
But other than that, other significant thing I've been playing, I went and got Zone of the Enders HD for HD collection for my PS3. Zone of the Enders is, of course, one of the other franchises that Hideo Kojima is responsible for. It's pretty much his love letter to the old school robot anime that he watched growing up, as well as a mixture of the newer robot anime that he became a fan of. And story wise, it's basically a mixture of the original Mobile Suit Gundam and with sort of the aesthetics of Evangelion.
I was going to say they look a lot like
especially the
aliens.
robot. Yeah. It's basically like a Gundam story. It's Earth, at war with its space colonies. Pretty standard trope for a lot of Japanese robot anime. It's got a great story. It's which obviously it does. It's Kojima. He may not always tell the story particularly well, but he can make a great story. The combat is quite solid and enjoyable, if kind of repetitive. It is basically kind of a button masher, but it is a very enjoyable button masher.
Yeah.
I can vouch for that.
Yep.
Thing is, I've only ever played the original first Zone of the Enders. I've never played the sequel, so this will be my first time playing the sequel.
Yeah.
This particular collection comes with both Zone of the Enders 1 and 2. It's really funny because when this game originally came out, the main reason this game sold so well was the fact that it had the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo with it when it originally came out, even though the game itself was actually really solid. But that's basically what I've been doing.
Yeah. Cool.
Theresa?
Well, I've been playing much of the same just like you guys, I've been playing, Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Ease 2. I've been playing that, and it's starting to really, I'm really recalling my Saturn days. I don't know why it reminds me of Albert Odyssey, but I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun with it. Played a lot of Civ 5 this week. Probably too much. I really need some icy hot for my hands. It hurts. It really hurts. But yeah, much of the same.
Yeah. All right.
Also, I forgot to mention I'm also still doing Snatcher and Police Knots.
Nice.
Still great games. Still highly recommend them. So,
All right.
Yeah. Looks like we got a noteworthy release this week.
Yeah, one that I'm.
yeah, no kidding.
Brandon's been waiting for this one for like a year and a half now.
Oh God, yes. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt releases this Tuesday.
Yeah.
Holy crap! And this reviews for this game are already out, and it's pretty much stellar across the board.
Yeah.
This franchise and specifically this company have sort of revolutionized what you can do with a game and how a game company can operate and interact with its audience. CD Projekt Red, well, not just them, but CD Projekt in general, is really the type of gaming company I wish more people would emulate. They are militantly anti-DRM. They do not believe in, chopping up parts of the game and hiding them as DLC. In fact, this game is going to end up getting DLC, all of which is free. And there's 15 pieces of DLC they're going to be rolling out.
Yeah.
And again, none of it costs a dime. It's all free.
And we definitely appreciate that.
And the thing is, I'm glad that this game did so well, and obviously once I've had a chance to play it, I'll have a lot more to say about it. But it was really difficult for them to top Witcher 2, because that game was a serious game changer as far as these types of games go. It really came out of absolutely nowhere and basically blew away every person who played it. This whole franchise in particular, I just love. Obviously, it's originally inspired by a series of books by a Polish author by the name of I'm going to say Andrzej Sapkowski, who basically the franchise is there's one big collection of short stories, which are, you can get here in the U.S., and then there's what they call the saga, which is a cycle of, I think, 5 books. And of course, the Witcher games are basically the sequel to those original books. The thing I love about this franchise, amongst other things, is the fact that it takes all of the traditional high fantasy tropes and basically deconstructs them mercilessly. It's basically telling you, hey, that Dungeons and Dragons fantasy you always have, where there's all the elves and stuff and noble kings and big battles. Yeah, that world actually would kind of suck to live in. And I love the fact that the games, basically, they are massive social commentary on just a number of issues. It's being that the author is Polish, there's a lot of allusions to Polish and Slavic history in general. Anybody who's played the game can obviously tell you that the dwarves are basically a metaphor for, well, Jews, basically. If you've ever played the game, the dwarves sort of kind of take the place of either Jews or gypsies. Well, Romani. But because the dwarves are heavily involved in financial stuff, and they've been the constant victims of pogroms. In fact, they use that word even. The elves, of course, represent basically any and all indigenous population that's been kicked out of their homeland by any particular major imperial power. So much so that, in the world of The Witcher, there's actually a huge sort of elf-centric terrorist organization called the Scoia'tael, who were actually a major part of the second game's plot. This game series, pretty much, it's been increasingly, the first game, I played the first game, and the first game was good. It wasn't perfect. It had its problems, but overall it was really solid. Obviously, the second game was an absolute basically a masterpiece. It blew everyone away. And it also sort of upped the ante for the things that you can do in a regular M-rated video game. Yeah. We're not just talking nudity here, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And apparently that's just a little bit more in Witcher 3 too. All I'm going to say about that is a stuffed unicorn. You'll know what I'm talking about.
I don't think I want to know.
Just go Google Conan O'Brien, Clueless Gamer, Witcher 3. You'll find out. But
that makes me more scared.
It's not what you're thinking. But one of the other things I've always loved about this franchise is that it's a genuine adult game. And I don't just mean content-wise. I mean the fact that the game approaches you as an adult.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold your...
I also thought the M rating was a bit of a misnomer a lot of the time. It could say it's for mature audiences, and then the content of the game is so horrendously immature that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so, I don't know. It's good to see a franchise get the M rating.
Yeah, this is a genuine
audience credit.
Yeah, it treats you like an adult. It doesn't hold your hand. It gives you all the information. And the thing is, this is not a game you can go in and hack and slash and expect to, do anything. You try that, you will die very, very quickly. This is one of those things you have to, if you're going to do something, you have to plan ahead. You have to make sure you got your equipment and your potions ready. And you kind of have to think on your feet. Like, for example, in The Witcher 2, one of the first big monster bosses you face, defeating it involves, using traps to catch its limbs and removing them. And it's a lot of thinking. You just can't like I said, it treats you like an adult.
Yeah.
And, but obviously this game will be coming out Tuesday, and I'm not sure if I'm the only person in this group who's going to be playing it, but I'll let everyone know what I think afterwards. But from what I've been getting, it's pretty much been getting positive reviews across the board. So,
yeah, the Witcher franchise with me has always been, I'm not its target audience, and I know I'm not its target audience, but it has always succeeded in making me feel bad that I'm not its target audience. And so,
Yeah.
no, I definitely, it's probably not something that I'd get into, but I definitely respect it quite a bit.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
This will
also, Tuesday, the third episode of Life is Strange also comes out.
I bet you'll be talking about that next week.
Yeah, I'll probably be talking about that too.
Yeah, cool. We'll either have we'll have a review on the site as well, so look forward to that as well.
Cool.
Yep.
So a few weeks ago we talked about Gung Ho picking up the IP for Game Arts, and it looks like they're starting to actually do something with that now.
Yeah, going from something that I'm not the target audience of to something that I very much am.
Yeah.
So they had their poll and asked people what they, how they should lead with kind of reviving Game Art's, back catalog, and that has manifested itself as an announcement of Grandia 2 coming to Steam pretty soon. When, I'm not entirely sure, but they're not just re-releasing Ubisoft's old port from 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
They're going in and making a new PC port built from the ground up from the Dreamcast code.
Yeah.
Which, for those unfamiliar with Grandia 2, it means you're going to have a much better camera and much better audio quality.
Yeah.
As opposed to the PC or the PS2 based PC port.
Yeah. Which was irritating.
Yeah. Well, that being said, any way you could get a hold of Grandia 2 is a good way. But at the same time, I kind of disagree with the decision to lead with that one. It makes sense. I understand it. It's the most marketable game. It has the best protagonist in the series, but God, it's so short. I would say that Grandia 2 comes in at about half the length of any of the other three games in the series. Way back in Game Addicts Network when I was playing for the review, I think I clocked it in about 25 hours. So, and that was on a first playthrough. Yeah. So, other Grandia games you can really sink your teeth into, get 50, 60 hours out of. Extreme had a whole mess of endgame content that would take in well over 100 hours, almost 2 if you really got into the customization. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm really happy to see Game Art's intellectual properties getting another chance with JRPGs finding a new home on the PC. Really, these games need to get out there again, and hopefully this will lead to the rest of the Grandia franchise, and then Lunar as well.
Yeah,
making an appearance on Steam now. The first Lunar was actually supposed to get a PC port back in '99 or 2000 or so, but that didn't happen, and so it's just it's going to get a whole new audience a chance to experience some absolutely fantastic games.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this works. I will stand behind these to the same extent that I will stand behind what Falcom and Exceed are doing with the Legend of Heroes series.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best endorsement I can possibly give it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad they're doing it because these are great games that deserve to be played by a lot of people, and what kind of bothers me though is that they made no mention of Thexter. Come on, guys. Thexter reboot, please.
Was it in the poll?
It might have been, but I don't think it got very many votes.
Annoying. But yeah, Grandia I thought was pretty much lost to the ether when Takeshi Miyagi passed away. Yeah. So it really is nice to see the series getting a second chance, and hopefully this really revives Game Arts as a brand, because it was they made some very important RPGs during a very important time for the genre.
Yeah. No, let's hope they have all the code that to work from, because otherwise they're going to be doing a lot of reverse engineering, which is what Exceed had to do for some of the Legend of Heroes games.
Well, for Trails in the Sky on PC, because it was originally built for XP based machines.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's not gone well.
And sticking with the JRPG theme, we now know that Persona 5, at least in the North American and Japanese markets, will be out this year.
Yep.
They describe a fourth quarter launch, even though they worded it as sometime between October and December, which is the same thing, but
yeah,
I don't know. But anyway, fourth quarter, Persona 5, that'll be good news. It's another game for a really strong year for RPGs.
Yep.
It's another one to put on the Christmas list.
Yep.
And when it comes out,
another great thing about this game is it's really gotten a bunch of folks who didn't know about it into the world of acid jazz.
Thank you, Mr. Megaro.
Yep. So many people had no idea what acid jazz was when they announced that that's what the soundtrack was going to be about. In fact, if you go on YouTube and type in acid jazz, you'll have a acid jazz compilation at the very top, and they're pretty much all the comments are people saying who's here because of Persona 5.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And another
Which is fine, because
that is noteworthy that is a PS3 and PS4 release, so even if you haven't jumped on the next generation yet, you don't need to worry. You will still be able to get Persona 5.
Yeah.
And acid jazz.
Yes.
And acid jazz. Yeah. So.
Those of you who don't know what acid jazz is, think Jamiroquai.
Yeah.
That's acid jazz.
Look it up. More JRPG news. It looks like Matsuda's reign at Square Enix is paying dividends.
Yeah, their fiscal year review came in, and profits are up on his watch. MMOs help drive it. Mobile games have helped drive it. And obviously, I can't shut up about Final Fantasy Record Keeper, so must be doing something right there. And
yeah, but have they really made any money off Record Keeper if nobody pays anything for it?
Well, there is some freemium stuff in there.
Yeah, but have you paid anything?
I haven't.
You haven't. Yeah. So you've been getting hours of enjoyment out of it.
It is entirely possible to play and enjoy Record Keeper without paying a dime.
Yeah, I understand.
And on one level, that's part of what's got me sold on DNA as a developer, because they don't strong arm you.
Yeah.
You do get kind of time limits on how much you can do in a single play session. Basically, there's a stamina system.
Okay.
that you have to stop and let that rebuild. You get a stamina point every 3 minutes, and you can use real money to replenish that right away, or you can use mithril that you find in game. But I think anyone who uses mithril on anything but weapon draws is kind of dense. But yeah,
Square Enix looks like they're doing well, and I think that that reboot of Final Fantasy XIV has helped immensely, even though it's not the biggest MMO success. People who play it are ravenous about it.
It's basically gone a long way to justify.
They've also got Dragon Quest X in Japan.
Oh, well, yeah, that's just
holding up their MMO business. So
yeah.
And so
yeah. It's gone a long way to justify Matsuda's reign. It really has.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see the company doing well.
They've also been mentioning some PC games. Yosuke Matsuda, we've been hyping this guy on the show pretty much from the beginning, and this is setting a really good trend going into E3.
Yep. Yeah, and they've also got they're doing their own press conference at E3, so chances are we're going to see some good stuff coming out of them. Yeah, speaking of good stuff,
and maybe this time it won't be a de facto IDOS show like some of those Square Enix shows in the past have been.
Yeah, I don't believe it will be.
I'm a little cynical about that, just based on past years, but I guess with Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15 and all these mobile JRPGs, the Saga games they've announced, it's pretty safe to say that there will be a healthy serving of genuine Square Enix, core identity there.
Yeah.
Will this be the beginning of the Square Enix Renaissance? Only time will tell.
Yeah.
We can sure hope.
Yeah, let's hope so.
All indications seem to be that they're going in that direction, though.
Yeah.
Oh, my checkbook votes for a yes.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, think about the Square Enix games. You get a lot of bang for your buck for the hours of enjoyment that your $60 shells out,
I want to see
if it's done right, that is, and not just one long corridor with a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, Final Fantasy.
Let's not talk about that.
And the sad part about that was Final Fantasy 13 wasn't all that, but by the time you got out of that, you were already so divested from the game that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll look forward to that. And this next story I wanted to talk about because, Koji Igarashi last year, Koji Igarashi broke away from Konami. He was feeling, like he couldn't make the games he wanted to make. And
for the record, he did it. Just for the record, I just wanted to point this out. Before we get into his project, he did an interview recently with, I can't remember if it was Game Informer or Polygon or whoever, but basically he was asked to comment on the whole thing that was going on with Konami and Kojima. And he admitted, he said that, although he didn't have a whole lot of information of the internal,
he believes it.
Yeah, he basically said, even though I haven't been there for a year, from the experience I've had there, honestly, I'm not too surprised that this happened. He's completely on Kojima's side, first of all. Yeah. And he's basically said that, I'm not surprised this has happened because, in his experience, he said Konami really doesn't treat its talent very well. To them, he said, to Konami, it's always just been about the money. And understandably, Konami is a business, and of course, they exist to make money. But when you're in the entertainment...
And we lost Brandon.
Yeah. And I'd just like to point out at this point that I hate Skype. Let's get him back in.
Bottom line, it's got to be more than that.
Yeah.
So, because if you do, people are going to make you some money the first game, but if you're not entertaining them, they're not coming back.
Yeah, they're not coming back.
So,
can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I thought we lost you for a minute, but apparently they only lost me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's, but, So yeah, obviously Koji Igarashi is completely on Kojima's side, and speaking of Konami, we're going to get to them in a little bit. But for now, we need to talk a little bit about this project he did on Kickstarter and the enormous success it's already had.
Yeah. It funded its goal of $500,000 in 4 hours, doubled that before the end of the day, tripled it within 24 hours of launching the Kickstarter, and quadrupled it by Friday. Right now, it just barely, like minutes ago, as of this recording, passed the $2.25 million mark, which means we get the retro level stretch goal.
Yeah.
And we're only $250,000 out of classic mode, which is the last stretch goal that they have listed. He's going to have to come up with some new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people just are completely okay with throwing their money at it.
And the funny thing about it is, this is the game that Konami heads said nobody wanted. Meanwhile, they go off and make Lords of Shadow and...
oh, gosh.
Well, the first Lords of Shadow was good, but...
The second one turned it into a perverted mockery of itself. It's just... Castlevania just doesn't mean anything anymore.
I wonder somewhat if the good
commentary on the state of the company in hindsight.
Yeah,
it may have been.
It could be. We know that Kojima did some consulting work on the first one. I wonder if his not having involvement in this game had that big of an impact on its quality.
Yeah, because the first one was actually fun.
Yeah, and actually had a good story behind it too.
Yeah, and it had Patrick Stewart in it, which anything that has Patrick Stewart in it is okay by me.
Yep.
Yeah, but this game, he's all right. Well, like I said, he has a strong female character. He specifically designed her so she wasn't just an anti-sex symbol. She's actually cool. She's not all that exposed. She has this weird sort of stained glass skin to her. Is anybody saying that?
Yeah.
It has to do with the story and everything. She's a construct by an alchemist or some such. It's basically going to be an old school like Metroidvania title.
Yeah.
And he did a video. He released around Friday that he put up on the website on the Kickstarter page, and he actually began. He said he was genuinely touched by the reaction to the game. He said he did not believe that it would get this much money so fast.
Well,
and
we wanted to play a sequel to Symphony of the Night for years, and nobody's been giving it to us. So it's nice that somebody decided to take it upon himself to do it. Of course, we'll throw money at him.
It's a shame that he is so surprised by it. It sounds like just the result of that he'd been
beaten down,
having to listen to his higher ups at Konami for way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This seems to actually be something I've noticed. This is actually something I've noticed with a lot of Japanese developers that have actually broken off with the big companies and have gone their own. This is sort of the same thing. Keiji Inafune,
well, he kind of started.
Had the same reaction. Yeah, and what's happened is really all these old Japanese developers, I think they've sort of inadvertently been in this corporate bubble for so long that they haven't been able to, go out and actually enjoy the sort of community that they've created. Yeah. And this is really sort of the first time they've really been able to appreciate it, and they've really understand just how much their work has affected people. And at the same time, they've also become exposed to Western games to a certain extent.
I'm not... That's a subject I'm going to have to pass on, but no, go ahead.
It is really nice to see that, they're going to finally understand how much people appreciate their work. And, having them as the artists, and is really what they are. They're artists. They're creating an art form here. Having them unfettered by the large corporate houses, I guess you could say, and having them more in charge of their own product. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with this, and if this is going to start to become a trend. Are they gonna start breaking away from the big publishers?
I think that's what we're seeing the beginnings of here.
Yeah.
Inafune proved to the Japanese gaming industry that there is life after your longtime employer, and now we're seeing the beginnings of a real exodus with Kojima and Igarashi, and it'll be interesting to see who else goes.
That's almost a cultural revolution, wouldn't you think?
I would say.
Yeah.
Very much.
Their work culture.
Yeah. And understand, we're not trying to make stereotypes or anything here. This is just facts. Japanese corporate culture is extremely regimented and extremely conformist by nature.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My husband works for a Japanese company. Oh, believe me. Totally understand. It's not a bad thing. I see definite pros over American corporate culture, but everything has its time and its place.
Yeah. Which I guess dovetails pretty nicely into Konami's announcement saying that mobile is where they're going now.
There's going to be a real chicken and the egg discussion about this because did they decide that they were going mobile before or after two of their best game developing minds headed for the front door? Or is the decision to go mobile one of the things that drove them out?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more the latter, really, because you can do mobile well and you can do mobile poorly, and I think Konami's strategy is probably going to end up in the second camp. We're probably going
especially
to see,
now.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see Konami-themed versions of simulation games or match 3 puzzles. I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see that come out very shortly.
I'm sure they're going to be going back to the Metal Gear Acid well.
Yeah, they'll probably do some of that. It's kind of sad when you see a company like that was once great, just basically whoring itself out to the mobile audience.
Yeah,
but
to be fair, they haven't really done a whole lot in a year that began with the number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
MGS4.
I said
MGS4.
a whole lot. I didn't say nothing.
Yeah, there's that. Well.
And for the record, we should maybe point out the fact that Kojima is leaving, but he hasn't actually left yet.
Well, he's going to finish Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, he said, I'm sticking around to finish up Metal Gear Solid 5, but once the Phantom Pain, his part of it is done, he's pretty much said, that's it, I'm gone.
Yeah.
So,
which shows
it's less like Igarashi. Yeah, it's less like Igarashi's situation where he's already severed himself from the company, but it's more like he's given them his 6 months notice.
Yeah, it just shows that Kojima is a professional. I mean, he's got a project that's still in the works. It's not quite done yet. He's going to wait until it's fully baked, and then when it's released, well, he's out of there.
If he just straight bailed, how screwed would they be?
Oh,
well, there could be contracts preventing him from doing that.
Yeah, probably.
They did try for a little bit to try and erase his names from all his games, and the internet did not react very well to that.
Yeah, that wasn't classy.
Yeah, as the internet is wont to do, and it tends to react badly to just about everything.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think it was somewhat justified. I mean, you don't just try to disappear someone from their work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like any time that has been attempted in the history of the industry, it has not gone well.
Yeah.
Nope.
So, might as well move on to our Nintendo block of the show.
Yeah.
This looks interesting.
Yeah, they haven't really gone into great detail on what's next for, what was Club Nintendo, but what they're replacing it with. We do know that it will be it will involve their partnership with mobile developer DNA.
Yeah, it's supposedly a cross-platform offering, so you'll be able to access your stuff across all the platforms, and Wii U, NX, 3DS, Android, iOS. You know what this is?
I know what it looks like.
This is their answer to Xbox Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
An Apple ID.
An Apple ID.
I mean, it's exactly. It works for both systems, so why not? You know.
And it's long overdue too, since Nintendo's online prowess has not been very good. They don't get online, so it's good that they're giving the reins over to a company that seems to know what they're doing in that.
It's deeply rooted in it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my standards for this aren't very high. If the rewards program allows me to use my cell phone camera to just take a picture of a game registration slip to register it, that in and of itself has my support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that is what DNA brings to what used to be Club Nintendo, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure it will. So. At least part of that will be involved there.
Yeah.
Just punching in the registration codes is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. So when Microsoft added that feature to Kinect for the Xbox One, I was very happy to see that.
Yeah. That's probably one of my number one uses for Kinect besides.
Don't you love that?
Yeah, I love that. And also,
just hold the card up to it. And
yeah. And it's like,
the system will actually read the registration.
You read the registration, and it's like, even if you have it like off skewed or whatever, or not quite fully exposed, it's like, yeah, I know what that is.
Yep.
It's awesome.
We hated on the Kinect's mandatory inclusion with the Xbox One at launch, but damn if it isn't a good device for what it is.
Yeah.
And on the subject of Nintendo's partnership with DNA, we knew that Nintendo was going to be dipping a toe into the water gaming last week. We didn't really know how accurate that analogy would be until recently. Turns out they have all of 5 mobile games planned through March of 2017.
Yeah, you can't know how happy this makes me. And I'll tell you why. Because if they had said they would have 10, 15, 20 titles to be out by 2017, it would mean that they would have gone for the flavor of the month style scattershot approach.
That's true.
Apps. What this tells me is 5 games. It means they're going to give each of those apps they're going to build them so that they have legs, traditional Nintendo games.
Yeah, it's going to be DNA development done Nintendo's way.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
That's the Nintendo's MO. They work on a game
a little more quantity, but there's definitely a consistent theme going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think there's a whole lot left to say about that. Other than let's wait for that first one to come out, and we'll see how it turns out.
That'll be this year, according to them.
Yeah. Probably a little before the holidays, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
They've finally detailed their E3 plans in a, we'll call it interesting video.
Yeah. That was done by Mega 64, wasn't it?
Yeah. I have issues with Mega 64. I understand that they're good at generating hype and getting people into whatever they make their trailers for. I just find them completely insufferable anytime I encounter them. And so that in and of itself kind of soured me on the trailer, even though there were moments that I had to begrudgingly admit were kind of funny. Interesting information came out of them. Did we lose you?
No, you're here.
I'm still here.
Okay.
Oh, really? Did we all just stop talking and
I
have
think
fun?
I'll just stop talking. Yeah. Okay.
So they scheduled their E3.
Silence, the hosts are drinking.
Not yet. Not yet.
It's not till Friday, but okay.
Yeah. So it looks like, as has become status quo for Nintendo, 9 a.m. Tuesday on E3 Pacific time will be their Nintendo Direct. Leading up to that, we're getting the return of the Nintendo World Championships, which we haven't had for 25 years. That was a bit of a curveball.
Yeah.
Bit of a curveball, and it's actually something very interesting to see from Nintendo that they would dredge, the NWC up, because the only people who would really remember it would be us, who grew up in that generation.
Yeah. Remember how we keep saying that this isn't 2015, it's 1990-15?
It still is.
Well, I think we kind of surrendered ourselves to the fact that no, we're still in the 90s with the return of the screensavers, but no, this definitely supports that, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it manifests itself. Apparently, it's going to go down at select Best Buy stores on May 30th.
Yeah, at least the qualifiers will be, and then I think the finals are going to be at E3 itself.
The night before E3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see. It's going to be a really quick championship. 2 weeks.
Yeah. Just goes to show you never know what Nintendo is going to do. They just come out with weird stuff every now and then.
They're like the Madonna of the gaming industry, except they're good.
They don't try to fake British accents and think they can play guitar.
Well, Miyamoto can play the banjo, so yeah.
Meanwhile, Satoru Iwata making a statement that Nintendo NX is not a simple replacement for the Wii U and 3DS, implying that it's meant to be a platform that stands up alongside the two others. We've heard this one before. When they were getting ready to roll out the DS in 2004, they were calling it their third pillar, that it was going to be the GameCube, the Game Boy Advance, and the DS, and we saw how that ended.
Yeah, the DS just dominated.
Pretty much ended up deciding that there was really no more use for the Game Boy Advance, and it was back to a two-platform model.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here is that there is no indication that NX is the quality of life platform, and the fact that Iwata has described it as a dedicated gaming unit seems to suggest that there's even more in the pipeline than we might be consciously thinking of at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think QOL is going to be a system in and of itself. I think it's going to be devices that adjoin other systems, like will work with your smartphone or will work with your Wii U. I think that's where that's going to go.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that manifests itself. Do you think we'll see it at E3?
No.
Probably. No.
Well, I don't mean NX. I mean QOL.
No, I don't think we see any mention of QOL at E3.
Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, the previously double-booked Square Enix has scooted down an hour to the 10 a.m. Pacific slot.
Yeah. Which is
avoid
good,
scheduling conflicts, allows everybody to experience E3 live.
Yeah.
Which was a bit of a concern when they first announced their time slot.
Yeah. They haven't, journalists haven't figured out a way to split themselves into two to be at two places at once yet. So until that happens,
we are not capable of that.
No.
So it will be nice when we are.
Yeah. Well, there's that. Just good to know.
Shifting gears quite a bit here, actually. Sony Computer Entertainment UK boss, Fergal. I probably completely butchered that name, but very sensible argument regarding all of the botched launches last year and all the mass delays that we've been seeing ever since.
Yeah, he's effectively saying, we didn't really know how to use the hardware properly. That was what his arguments boiled down to.
Yeah, the idea being that I think that the new hardware being as developer friendly as it is, almost lulled developers into a false sense of security and made them feel like their games were finished and ready when, there were some issues still to take care of. And now we're seeing mass delays coming as the, I would say, healthy sense of OCD sets in, and they start to really scrutinize their products and make absolutely sure that they're ready for public consumption.
Yeah. Well, in what generation have we ever had the first year of games go smoothly? I mean, that has never happened in the history of games.
Well, that is true.
There's going to be growing pains, and the first year is always kind of a shakedown period to see what works, what doesn't, and how stuff breaks. And we saw a lot of stuff breaking last year, so
yeah.
Yeah. So there was that. But this year's
sometimes in soul scarring and nightmarish ways.
It's true.
Yeah, floating eyeballs. Don't ever want to see that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, ever.
And lips.
Bad Ubisoft. Bad.
Yeah.
Sweet potato is good. I like it.
Well, this next story isn't really huge news other than if you don't have a really powerful PC, you're probably going to need an upgrade before you consider plunking down money for that Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
What I think this is a coup for Project Morpheus.
Well, it's going to, the Oculus Rift is going to be Windows only initially, so I don't think they're playing in the same ballpark at the moment.
Well, I'm just thinking more on the lines of someone who wants to get in on the initial rush of VR technology.
You got a PS4, you just get the headset and you're good to go. Instead of you have the laundry list of Oculus Rift system requirements that, in most cases, will require brand new computers, or at least.
Well, that wasn't a huge list. I mean, if anybody's really building not a super duper high end computer right now, and they're looking forward, they don't want it to be crummy by right now standards. They want it to play most games.
Yeah, you need about $1,000.
My point is comparing that to the system requirements of Project Morpheus, which is simply own a PS4.
Yeah. Don't even need to own a TV, I don't think.
Well, yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have got a
maybe for setup.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So there's that, yeah. But, 8 gigs of RAM and an R9 290 or 970.
That's $100.
Yeah. And the R9 290 is about $300. So, about $1,000 worth of hardware, and you got a setup that can run Oculus Rift just fine.
And by the time it launches next year, that'll probably be down to even more reasonable price.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who's getting one?
I don't have a PS4, so
no Morpheus.
Well, I have a PS4, so I'll be getting a Project Morpheus or whatever it ends up being called. I'm sure we'll know after E3.
Yeah.
As far as Oculus Rift goes,
I will be.
It really depends on how the next year treats my wallet.
Yeah.
You are going to get it, Phil? You're planning on it?
Yeah, I'm planning on it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just because I think that the Oculus Rift is going to turn out to be the most open of the platforms. So, chances are there's going to be a lot more variety of stuff you can do inside of it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll definitely be able to do more with the Oculus Rift, no question.
Yeah. Like when this went.
It's. Well, I was going to say it's possible when when I got my my latest gaming PC the other day, a couple months ago, I didn't go with a really high end one because I have some stuff I want to play now, and then I was thinking, well, let's see what's coming out. Maybe I'll build a big baddie later on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
This could be, my brain
It's
likes
over
to
the top.
hijack my wallet.
Yeah. Well, once I saw what new retro arcade, brings to the table, as Oculus Rift experiences go, it's like,
See, that's what's going to pull me in.
yeah, I want that right now.
Right.
I want someone to take a retro game compilation that you typically would get on the current gen platforms, and pull that into
Present
the
it like
VR
that.
space. Present it like that, yeah. Of course,
man.
First person Pac-Man.
well, no, no,
No.
no, do not
No.
want.
Nope.
Nope.
That's on the nope list along with Mirror's Edge and Sonic.
Yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog
Ugh.
VR, yeah, that's
It's a thing.
yeah. That's as you called it, weaponized Oculus Rift.
Yes. Yeah. Theresa, I'll send you the YouTube video after the show.
Yeah, I think I want to see that.
Like, falling off of the stage is pure nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
No.
Looks like we got a show.
that a
guys.
show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just want to remind everybody that we're still on iTunes. Remarkably, we're also on TuneIn and Pocket Cast and various other podcast aggregators. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. And it really helps us out. Also, if you review us, hopefully you like us. Promote us to your friends. All of that helps us out. So we would really appreciate it if you guys would do that for us. Anyways, until next week, I'm Filippo D'Onofrio.
I'm Patrick Mifflin.
I'm Brandon Perkins.
And I'm Theresa Sammons.
Goodbye.